Hey guys, this is Nick here, and today we are on to part 12 of the remake of What If Negan and the Governor Met. I could have just said What If the Governor Met Negan, but it's the same thing. Anyways, last time we got into Daryl returning to the sanctuary and the setup for Rick's plan to go against the governor. And with Daryl coming back to find that the governor used him just like he used Merle. Nothing more than leverage. And Dwight doing a similar move to Daryl, what he just did to him a few parts ago. Now we continue. Daryl is just completely aghast that he just let himself be used like his brother. To this guy! The guy who now would mean nothing means way more than he thought. The governor said that he had planned to use Daryl all along. It was just finding the right plan and the right motive and the right person to possibly help him use Daryl in the right way to get to Rick and Michonne. Because doing it alone with Daryl, he didn't trust Daryl one bit. But Dwight, after Negan situated himself with him, and Sherry and Tina, all the governor had to do, stick his nose into the business of Dwight, use him to his own advantages, get him completely on his side to not only make Dwight's character go up at the sanctuary, but to further rise his own. Because by this point, the governor, he's pretty much all in with Negan. You could consider him one of the top people if he didn't have his own little area at the sanctuary. But he mainly just keeps to himself. And because of all this, everything is working out just the way the governor wanted. Daryl has officially been fooled, and Rick and Michonne are heading for a trap. The governor tells Dwight to take Daryl and get him officially into a prison outfit that the Saviors had, and pretty much just leave him for torture. Daryl then tries to fight, but then Dwight pulls a move like he did in the Season 6 finale, shoots Daryl in the shoulder, and puts him in the outfit. Strips him first, of course, because that's what happened to Daryl originally. Puts him in the outfit, and then Daryl is soon going to be awaited to be tortured in one of the many torture chambers that the governor and the Croat have scrounged together. But before that happens, Negan requests a word with Daryl. The two meet up once again, for the third time now, since Daryl has been here. Any leverage that Daryl had at the sanctuary, that's gone. Like I said in the last part, it was too easy, because it was all a setup, a hoax, just a game, if you will. Negan says that he fully expected it to go down this way. Didn't trust Daryl for a second, especially from what he'd been told about him by the governor. And even though he's not on board with killing people, let's be honest, Negan would think at this point that Daryl, Rick, and Michonne deserve it. And Negan said his own rules. You never kill anyone who doesn't deserve it. Or a kid. And yeah, hearing from the governor all of what happened, he'd think that Daryl, Rick, and Michonne deserve it. And he also tells Daryl he knows by now, and he already did know, that Daryl is the one who killed little Timmy and the brigade. It's too obvious. They're the ones that kidnapped him. He was out at the same time as them. He was never out there just to spread the word. And even if he did, it wasn't because he was on board. It's because he was trying to get his... He was basically just trying to save his own life. Negan knew this, but he was just played for a fool. Negan, he honestly wasn't played for a fool. You'd think that he would be mad because he kind of was. But, nah. Daryl was the one played all along. And says that he can't wait to see what torture the governor has planned for Daryl. But before Daryl can be taken down, or right when he's being taken down, gunshots shoot up in the air from outside of the sanctuary in a very Season 8 beginning manner. It's Rick and Michonne. who have finally arrived at the sanctuary and are ready to confront the governor and any saviors who might be aligned with him. Because they're not after the saviors here. They are after the governor. Because remember, they haven't attacked the outpost, and they've only attacked the people on the road. That's it. Negan greets them with his usual Negan swagger and introduces himself, and he notices and can confirm that, especially from what the governor told him, that these two are Rick and Michonne, the two that he'd been told so much about. Rick points his gun square at Negan, not hesitating for a second, saying that he is here for one person, and one person only. He's not after the saviors, only the governor, and anyone who might be acquainted with him. Other than that, he's willing to work with the saviors and everybody else, including Negan, as long as the governor's brought out right here, right now, to settle what they never settled. Negan tries to read Rick, because what he'd been told about Rick was that he took everything from the governor, he was a mindless beast, he was mad, and he didn't have any remorse. But from what Rick just said, this could mean one of two things. Either number one, the governor has just straight up lied to him about Rick and not everything else, or Rick's trying to play him for a fool. But Negan doesn't sense anything trickery here. Rick is dead serious. And Negan? You would think that he would be mad at a threat like this, but Rick has just straight up admitted that Negan and the saviors, Rick just said he's willing to work with him. So Negan, he's all down for that. And if this just means that this confrontation, Negan already knows that the governor has a plan and everything. So, yeah. He's not afraid to let him out for a second if they're gonna fight and everything. He ain't afraid of that. Negan tells the governor to come out, and the governor does. Sword, weapons, and all. And yep, this would be a very, very heated moment. Because for the first time in 2.5 seasons, not just a few episodes after the season 3 finale like last time, the governor has come face to face once again with Michonne and Rick. Michonne pulls out her sword, if not already pulled out already, and just stares into the governor's eyes with complete and utter malice. Because she'd been looking for him. Remember? Her and Daryl, they never found him. And yeah, Michonne's definitely going to feel heat in this moment. Rick doesn't seem like he feels hate or hatred. He's just staring dead into the governor's eyes. Complete seriousness, silence, and just tension fills the moment. And Rick just still cannot believe that this guy's alive. He had thought that this was all just a trick or something like that, but he didn't think that Daryl would lie about something like that. And now, any doubt that he had is obviously true. Rick finally plucks up the sense to ask the governor one thing before they do anything. How did he survive? Because the way he sees it, all of the people and everything that had happened, they looked for him even. He was most likely, to their knowledge, dead. But the governor says that couldn't be further from the truth. He thought he was dead. After Rick, Michonne, Daryl, all of them, after they took everything away from him, his people, his home, his pride, his eye, his daughter, everything. He was out on his own. He was completely and utterly broken. No place, no family, nothing to drive him anymore. But Negan, he saw something in him. And look at him now. One of Negan's top guys, if he weren't in his own little district with the torture chambers, which is all built up especially for this moment. Since he had found his drive once again after Negan saved him, he'd lived only for revenge. If not for all three of them, then on the next best thing, one. But once he had found out that Daryl was alive, all of his thoughts went to the fact that Rick and Michonne were definitely still alive. And that's where today comes in. The governor's final act of revenge points his gun square at Rick after delivering this whole plot progression here and says that he is here for one thing only, something that he demanded of them before: their surrender. They do that here, right now. The revenge that he will bring to them will be light at best. He won't kill them, but he will make sure that they never forget what they did to him. But Rick, he doesn't take this as a threat. He doesn't take this as they should surrender. He smiles. What? Why would he smile? But before the governor can even process why Rick is like this, Rick shouts, "Now!" at the top of his lungs, replicating what I've done before whenever billions of people from Rick's group are shooting. And, I've done it before in other stories. 10 seconds go by. Nothing happens. It just stays silent. Rick is confused by this. Because he had a plan. Beth had a group. All of their group. The big group that they had in case things went wrong. Just for an ambush. They should have shot by now. But Rick, he doesn't know what to think. Did they know about this? But then the governor seemingly reads his thoughts and says to Rick, looking down and smiling, that he bets that right now, and that very loud now, he was thinking of planning an ambush against him. Right? But Rick doesn't answer, and is more surprised at the fact that the governor knew about this. But the governor just perks up and laughs, because he knew from what he knew about Rick, that he wouldn't accept no deal. He wouldn't surrender, no. Especially not Michonne or Daryl or anyone. He knows, which is exactly why him, Negan, and many of Savior's brought out a plan. The governor wasn't in this alone. He hasn't been in it alone ever since he was saved. Negan and the Saviors have been at his side since the second he was rescued. And the militia and several other Saviors, including a tank, kidnapped and held hostage Beth and all of the group that Rick was supposedly going to ambush them with. Rick, after knowing all about this, seeing that the governor has pretty much played them all and just has the sanctuary under his control almost, just raises his gun in fury, knowing that their plan is pretty much kaput. But the governor says that he's not going to shoot him. He's not going to shoot anybody. Not only because they're outmanned, outgunned, and completely outclassed, but because he can't. And Rick's just confused by this. Like, yes, he can. Even if he dies, he can still take out the governor. But then Daryl comes out. Well, he's more escorted out because after this long conversation, Daryl was still taken down to the torture chamber. And he was tortured by the Croat. But he was taken out just for this specific occasion. Because Daryl is truly being used as leverage now. The governor says that Daryl is the one reason, the surefire reason, why Rick won't kill him. Sure, he could shoot. He might get him. But then he'd have a bunch of other saviors, including the fact that Daryl would die, to deal with. He knows that Rick won't do that. He won't risk Daryl. And with that, he says that there's no way that Rick's getting out of this. The governor's thought of every plan, every single thing that he knew about Rick, Michonne, everybody. He's used that completely and 110% to his advantage. And that's why he was so stuck in becoming so close with Negan, not only to serve him better and to get his own little part in the sanctuary and get revenge, but to have their complete trust so that he could get his revenge. Rick just stares with complete and utter hatred, malice, and just silence. But then he smiles again. Why? Why would Rick smile again? They're outmanned, outgunned. They have Daryl. They don't have another ace up their sleeve. Or at least, that's what we didn't think. But do they have another ace? Is Rick hiding another plan? Or has he gone completely crazy and is ready to just full-on forget everything and go after the governor no matter what happens? And that's where we leave things for the moment. Definitely a good bit of tension in this episode, if I do say so myself, not only because Daryl has been played for another fool, but how much the governor has advanced at the sanctuary to not only have all these millions of torture chambers and have all these saviors have his trust, including Negan, but the fact that there might not be another plan. But to see if Rick has another plan, you have to wait until next time. Like and subscribe, comment, and I'll see you guys then.
You get yourself in some trouble, partner?